2 hours away from Seattle, the birthplace of Starbucks, sits Yakima, along with Aspen Real Estate and its eccentric founder, Vernon Holbrook, the matriarch of the family. When he doesn't appear at a meeting with his daughter-in-law, no one suspects a thing. His family were used to his crazy working hours. It's nothing out of the ordinary this time around. No one would ever hurt Vern, right? Yakima is a city in Washington State, and where our good old story today will be taking us. So before we dive any further, let's have a brief look at what we're dealing with here. Yakima is neatly nestled, funny enough, in the Yakima Valley, known for its fertile wineries and apple orchards. Theories to why it's named Yakima varies. One of the more popular theories is that an Indian chief's daughter broke the tribal rules and had to flee from her home, relocating and settling along the river Yakima, with where she settled located near to the current city. It's the 11th largest city in Washington State at 73.22 kilometers squared, coming after other cities such as Spokane, Tacoma and Vancouver. It's got a population of about 96,000 residents. Among these 96,000 or so people lived Vernon Holbrook. If you lived in Yakima, chances are you'd have heard or seen about Aspen Real Estate, and it was by no means luck that they were as big and as successful as they were, but it was through their founder Vern's hard work and dedication. He was even pulling 6 hours a week at 78. Talk about a grinder. It was through his business, Aspen Real Estate, that he met Daniel Blizzard. Daniel and Holbrook had a long relationship together. Holbrook took him under his wing like the caring person he was and introduced him to the world of real estate. In 2008, Holbrook was ready to retire. Aspen Real Estate was going to be sold to one of its former employees, Daniel Blizzard, along with his two brothers. The idea that the business would still be a local family-run business rather than a franchise or chain is what appealed to Vern. The deal was eventually agreed and a handshake was made. Holbrook couldn't shake his urge for selling away despite the sale being made, and he agreed to stay on as the face of the business for another year. Blizzard was all talk no bite, and he could only make 2 payments for Aspen Real Estate, which led to Holbrook reluctantly regaining ownership of Aspen Real Estate. Oddly enough, part of the deal saw Blizzard allowed to take out a $1.58 million life insurance policy as part of the purchase plan. This, they never missed a payment on, unlike the payment for the purchase of the business itself. Multiple lawsuits followed after Vern resumed control of the business. Daniel Blizzard felt there was foul play involved and that Vern done him dirty. The thought of a $1.58 million insurance policy in his name for his now ex-business partner weighed heavily on Vern. He wanted rid of this policy. He made multiple attempts with the company to have it removed. However, they wouldn't let him remove the policy, shamefully. Adriana Mendez was staying at the Sunshine Motel, a kinda shabby-ish, I guess you could say, accommodation, along with her 3 children. The motel was associated with criminal activity, ranging from drug deals to prostitution. Her boyfriend, Luis Gomez Monges, would frequently visit the motel too, but he wasn't the only man to be frequently visiting her and her 3 children at the motel. Daniel Blizzard too would be popping up more and more frequently. So I know you're thinking right now, what's going on? Give me a second, I'll explain later. Be warned, it gets pretty messy. Mendez liked to dabble in methamphetamine a fair bit, and so did Jill Taylor, one of Vern Holbrook's former daughters-in-law and father to 3 of his grandchildren. After splitting with her husband, Jill Taylor was romantically involved with Vern's former business partner, Daniel Blizzard. Jill Taylor too enjoyed dabbing in methamphetamine like Mendez, and they met at a party scoring drugs together. They became so tight that Adriana Mendez and her 3 children moved in with her for a while, and along with her boyfriend met Daniel Blizzard. Daniel Blizzard wanted this life insurance policy that was out in Vernon's name and was looking for any way possible to claim it, and so did Jill Taylor too, someone who Vernon once seen as family. Upon being introduced to Blizzard, he began paying for Mendez's and her family's rent and food in an effort to sweeten her up maybe, but why would he be sweetening her up? Vernon Holbrook was shown a property that he was selling in Cowish, Washington on the 25th of May 2013. Next thing everyone knew, he was found, viciously beaten, with his throat slit. Their first thought was the person who had discovered the body, one of Holbrook's employees, who called 911. The individual was quickly cleared, and the next place for them to turn to for information was the crime scene, and the victim's phone they discovered was missing. Without the phone to check for any obvious leads, the police gained access to Holbrook's phone records, and these showed that the last of all people to speak with him was Adriana Mendez on that very morning and in the vicinity of the crime scene. She was questioned by police and made a statement telling them that she had called him about selling a trailer and had got his number through an ad for his business, Aspen Real Estate. She lied to police and told them that she wasn't in Cowish on the day of the attack, which was quickly shot down in flames after the police revealed her phone log, placing her right at the scene of the crime, right at the time of the murder, attempted murder, as well as CCTV footage showing her and her 3 kids getting in a car from the Sunshine Motel on the morning of the assault. That man in the car she'd be getting into would be identified as her boyfriend, Luis Gomez Monges, a long-time felon. After all this evidence had been piled up against her, she admitted to heading out to the property that was on show. Her and her boyfriend went into the house when Gomez began striking Holbrook. She claims at this point she then went back to the car, with Gomez returning sometime later. Gomez was then arrested at a casino and transported to Yakima County Sheriff's Office. Mendez admitted that Daniel Blizzard had given her the number to contact Vernon Holbrook, as well as $10,000 to kill him, plus another $2,000 to pose as home buyers, which they felt entitled to do, given he had been supporting them previously. Her boyfriend Gomez was too on the verge of being deported, meaning she needed all the support and money she could get. Despite lacking any real stone-cold evidence, the case was effectively sealed when 2 key suspects, Mendez and Taylor, turned to witnesses in return for a lighter sentence. Vernon Holbrook survived this vicious assault and clinged on to life for another 8 months after, until he succumbed to his injuries. The cooperation of Mendez and Taylor meant that Mendez received a 1-year prison sentence and charges were dropped against Taylor. While I get these are so lenient due to both of their cooperation, I do feel like they're a bit of a slap on the wrist, especially on Taylor, as Taylor knew of the intent to kill Vern. She even admitted in the past to her friends that she had attempted to poison him, which failed and resulted in her recruiting her friend and her boyfriend to do it, knowing they were in need of money. Convicted of first-degree murder, Gomez Monges, aged 39, was sentenced to 28 years in prison, and Blizzard, 29, to 34.5 years behind bars. Overall, it's an extremely messed up case that again boils down to one thing: money. Vernon had the golden years of his life snatched away from him that he worked so hard to enjoy. All I can say is Daniel Blizzard is a massive piece of shit. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.